Hello and welcome to Inside Sports. I'm Wes Decker, and this is Herald Mail insider Bob Parsolini.
Hi, how you doing? Thanks for having me on.
Good to have you here, Bob. Let us be the last to wish you a happy new year. And before this show embarks on catching you up on all of the wrestling matches, indoor track and field meets, and basketball games that have been played since the last time you saw us, Bob and I saw each other at the annual Toys for Tots event headed up by South Hagerstown football coach Toby Peer. And this year, not only were his Rebels there, but per his request, the green of South was joined by the red of North and the blue of Williamsport. And it was just an extension of unity in the community that Coach Peer has been striving to create. And from a joint breakfast at Chick-fil-A to shopping together for Christmas gifts at Kmart to delivering their goods to Aaron's Rent-A-Center and Grease Monkey in the name of the County Toys for Tots campaign. By all accounts, it was certainly a successful venture. Much like a winning football team, it happened in all three phases.
It did, and it was kind of interesting because Toby wanted to make the whole county. That's the next step. He's going to try to do that next year. The thing that struck me as kind of funny was when you go through and you were watching these guys run around and pick up their toys, they were picking up stuff they would play with. And a couple of them had said that, So it was like they were, one kid said, I wish they had this stuff back when I was a kid. Well, you're only about 3 or 4 years removed from that,
Yeah, we're talking teenagers here.
But it was a really good event. The kids were into it, and they all said the right things, which is not. But they acted like they really wanted to be there, and that's a big thing. One of those things that goes on through high school, they always give a hard time because the kids aren't doing anything, and here's some kids that did.
Yeah, and they did something for a very good cause. So certainly kudos to them, and that's how we sort of ring out 2016 and we ring in 2017. Girls basketball is our topic here, and on the preview show, we started with Williamsport, who certainly made the deepest run into the playoffs last year, and the Wildcats still at the top of the food chain right now. The only public school team who will start 2017 with wins under their belts. Everybody else has a loss as 2017 begins. Williamsport coming off a Dalb tourney championship where they beat Smithsburg for the second time this year. They defeat St. James, who's been off to a good start this season. Smithsburg's only 2 losses have come to Williamsport. But Williamsport's now won 25 straight against county public school competition and 20 in a row overall against county schools. And Williamsport will guard you, Bob. I was looking at these numbers, 31.9 points allowed per game, the best scoring defense in the county.
Well, Kevin Murphy will tell you till he turns blue, fittingly, that defense is where they get everything. And, you get the ball, you stop them, and you move down the floor. That's how they basically beat St. James the other day. They stopped them from doing anything by getting down the floor. Then you turn the ball to Erin McVicker, and she's able to drive and dish. And now they're starting to find their feet on who's going to be the ones that help because there's some openings there. So, Janae Holman the other day hits, for 15 points. And she was on the back end of a lot of those defensive stands that fed it down. And Lexi Robinson had a great game for them in that game. So, there's a lot that they're working on, and there's still work to do. I think December is always the sort of the preseason. Once you get to the new year, the rush to the end of February is the big thing in girls basketball.
Yeah, it's kind of the scrimmages that count all of a sudden. And Lexi Robinson, I've never seen her play more aggressively than she did on the offensive end in that championship game against Smithsburg, the MVP of that tournament. Speaking of Smithsburg 4-2 overall, averaging 53.7 points per game, but nearly 70 points per game in their wins. But as we said, they've been held down in the 2 losses against Williamsport. Smithsburg, again, has all of that talent, but it seems like they just have not found a way to mesh yet. That dynamic is not there.
It's just one of those things where they have to hit their stride, I think. They have to really figure out, I think, something. When they're moving the ball, they play very well. It just seems like they move it too much and there's a turnover which stops them. They can shoot if they get open, but they make that mistake or, a lot of times you're looking for the one extra pass.
Right.
This time I think they look for one too many extra passes, and it just doesn't seem to be flowing as well as it should for them. But they're winning, and that's all that counts.
And I looked ahead at their schedule, and I have to be honest, I think in looking at that schedule ahead, they have every right to win every one of the games that remains on their schedule. They get one more crack at Williamsport, who's beaten them twice in 2 tries so far, but they'll get that next game at home against Williamsport. But again, this is a team certainly who could put themselves in a position to be primed for the playoffs with that upcoming schedule and get a lot of confidence under them, and again, get that dynamic to where they need it to be to consistently win games. Clear Spring, another team above 500 at 5-3. The Blazers got off to a great start to the beginning of the season. Then they ran into St. James, and I mentioned, and we'll talk about St. James in a minute, but St. James laid it on them pretty good, and the Blazers have struggled a little bit since then. But Clear Spring still has a very young team that has every right to improve here as this season unfolds.
And I think that's pretty much what they're looking to do, is just to improve. Jill Bender has been come out and shown that she can be a leading scorer to help Maddie McDonough. But to me, I haven't seen them really play yet. But what I read and what I've seen in the stories is it seems like they play to a style, and if they get out of that style a little bit, they get a little, off track. So they had a good start. I think a couple teams figured out a couple of things on them, and it's making it a little more difficult. They just have to respond to continue improving.
Over on the private school side, Heritage off to a 7-1 start. They only lost there with 3 of their starters out of the lineup, so they certainly have every right to continue to play great basketball. And again, starting the season well is very important, and that's been the case for St. James. And again, a very young team for Nate Naylor. What do we find out about them in the loss to Williamsport and then bouncing back and beating Bel Air? I mean, to me, that showed a little something.
Well, I think part of that is they're playing a really public school-oriented schedule. So, I mean, I don't think the shock of playing against a public school killed them. But I think what happened was they were not used to losing a lot yet. So they didn't really know how to respond to it. I mean, Williamsport's defense took them out of the things they know how to do and like to do. There was a concerted effort to hold the trio of Krista Bartlett,
Skylar
Treadwell, and Mosley to under 25 points. They held them to 14. So, I mean, they took everything away from them, and they have to learn to respond. Everybody forgets there's 1 senior, 2 freshmen, and 2 sophomores starting on that team.
Yeah, that's very big. But as the season goes along, that experience will grow, and hopefully the confidence. And that kind of brings you up to date on where we are for as much as we can get in this segment. I think we could have done a 20-minute segment here, but we're not allowed to do that. So, Bob, thank you for being here. I will look forward to seeing you throughout the rest of the season. When I come back, I've got Andy Mason here. We'll talk wrestling in just a moment.
Champions are not merely born. They're forged in the crucible that is flag football. With equal parts turf, pigskin, and heart. That's why Buffalo Wild Wings donates to boys and girls clubs across the country to not only help thousands of kids learn about teamwork on and off the field, but to help them fulfill their destiny. To shred defensive lines, terrorize the secondary, and emerge bonded as true champions.
At Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period. We're the largest Ford store in the tri-state area. #1 for only one reason. We charge less, period. Hagerstown Ford delivers. We'll bring your new ride to you and do the whole deal sitting at your kitchen table. Easy peasy. Get more for your trade, easy on-the-spot financing, and the lowest prices on the East Coast guaranteed. And if we can't beat their deal, we'll buy that car for you. Hagerstown Ford, we charge less, period.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with wrestling, and joining me for that is Herald Mail Sports editor Andy Mason. Andy, welcome back to the show. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, Wes. Nice to be back.
Yeah, good to see you. And since everybody last saw us, a lot's transpired. Of course, it's the big build-up as the season goes along for wrestling. But where do we stand right now? What's out there that we could talk about?
Well, one thing that's interesting is there have been a ton of matches, so in the last month, and every Washington County team right now, all 6 of them, No one has a losing record in dual meets. I'd say overall wrestling this season's a little bit down from last year. You know, when we had the eight guys in the finals, only 2 of those guys are back. A lot of teams lost a lot to graduation. But right now, everyone's holding their own. You know, just going down the list, Boonesboro's 5-1, North 17-4, Williamsport 7-3, St. James is 5-2, South High's 3-3, Smithsburg's 2-2. So, you know, like I said, the county's still holding its own.
Yeah, what do you make of that right now overall in terms of how the county can compete outside the county itself then?
Yeah, it's still a lot of wrestling left. You know.
So there's plenty of time for more.
Yeah, but there are some stars. We have our stars in the county, as you know. You know,
Right.
of course, you know, the big 2 guys at North, Aaron Brooks and Brian Stewart. They're just juniors. They're 2-time defending state champs.
Each with 100 victories now.
Yeah, they're both unbeaten this year. Aaron Brooks, 21-0 this year. Out of those 21 matches, he has 2 forfeits and 19 first period pins. A remarkable run. I mean, it's just
Have you
remarkable.
seen anything like
No.
that in the county previously?
No, never.
No.
No, I mean, no one has lasted a period with him yet, and a lot of them have been really quick, you know, like 20 seconds, 30 seconds. I mean, he's on a whole different level than pretty much anyone else in the state. You know, it'll be interesting to see how long this streak continues. You know, this weekend we have the big Hub Cup tournament coming up. 22 teams come to North High, a lot of really solid teams. Interestingly enough, Aaron Brooks is 109-2 for his career. His only 2 losses have come at the Hub Cup. He's won everything. He's won national titles. He's never won a Hub Cup title in his own gym.
Yeah, this will be the 30th annual Hub Cup. I talked to Coach Slick the night that North wrestled Catoctin, and he said that without a shadow of a doubt, one of those things on Aaron Brooks' list this year is to win a Hub Cup title.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That just shows you how difficult that competition
Yeah,
is.
it's amazing. Yeah, I mean, now granted, the 2 kids he's lost to have both been national. He's probably lost to the very best kids at that tournament each year. As a freshman, he lost to a senior who was nationally ranked. As a sophomore, he lost to a senior who was nationally ranked. Now he's a junior. He's not going to lose. I don't know if his string of first period pins is going to continue, but I wouldn't be surprised if that. You know, he is good.
Well, you heard it here first.
Yeah, and Brian Stewart's a returning champ. You know, he's 19-0 this year, 101-2 for his career. Brendan Colbert, who graduated a few years ago from North, has the all-time county record for career wins. I believe it's 149. Both these guys are going to, you know, barring something unforeseen, are going to go well past that next year.
Yeah, just remarkable. 2 guys on the same team, in the same class, and just what they've been able to do.
Yeah, they're the 2 best wrestlers in the history of Washington County, in my opinion.
Yeah, just unbelievable. Some of these other schools right now, as you mentioned, in the records that they have, how impressed are we with Boonesboro right now, given what Boonesboro did last year to really elevate itself and then come back this year missing some of those pieces from last year? And yet
Yeah, they're
you're
off to a
5-1.
great start. You know, like we said, 5-1. Now their one loss was a 1-point loss to Williamsport, in which they lost a team point for I think unsportsmanlike conduct. You know, I don't know how the tiebreaker would have worked out there if they had tied, but they lost by 1 point to Williamsport, and I don't think Boonesboro's ever beaten Williamsport. However, this is not the Williamsport team that we're used to. You know, they lost a lot to graduation. They had 5 county champs last year, 4 state place winners. All those guys have graduated. You know, they wrestled North this year and lost 66-2. You know, that's probably the most lopsided loss Williamsport's ever faced against North. But they're still not bad. They're 7-3. You know, 2 of their losses, they lost to North and Middletown. Middletown was probably the best dual meet team in the state.
Right. Yeah, so it's a good start for the county to this point. As you said, a lot more wrestling to go. The county tournament doesn't come along until 2/3 of the way through February.
Right.
So plenty of time to get there, and
It's
everybody.
a long season.
Yeah, everybody, of course, shooting for that postseason.
Yeah.
You want to get through regions and to the states. So we've got a long way to go. So we're just kind of laying the foundation right now. But we know a little bit more than obviously we did in the preview show, and look forward to all of that. Again, the 30th annual Hub Cup coming up this Friday and Saturday at North Hagerstown. South and North will be there, the only county representatives this time around. But look forward to that, and look forward to wrestling coverage all season long. Andy, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Wes.
I'll be back right after this, continuing with indoor track and field. Dan Kaufman joins me for that in just a moment.
When it comes to hearing loss, who will be taking care of you? Audiologist Dr. Karen Hamilton is Hagerstown's hearing doctor, working to improve the quality of life for those with hearing loss. At Audiology Services, Dr. Hamilton focuses on evaluation and diagnosis to provide solutions for treating hearing loss. Using the latest technology, she programs hearing aids to meet your unique needs and ensures they fit properly and comfortably. Audiology Services participates with most insurance companies and will check benefits and file claims on your behalf. Dr. Hamilton and her team also serve the community through Hagerstown Hearing, which focuses on providing crystal clear sound in places such as theaters, churches, offices, and homes. Hagerstown Hearing installs looping systems that allows those with hearing loss to enjoy speech clarity and noise reduction, providing an experience like never before. To learn more about Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, call 301-790-3300. Audiology Services and Hagerstown Hearing, providing crystal clear sound.
Welcome back to Inside Sports. We continue now with indoor track and field. We play catch up with Herald Mail Assistant Sports Editor Dan Kaufman. Welcome back to the show and Happy New Year, Dan.
Happy New Year to you.
So, indoor track and field. In the preview, we threw out a bunch of names at people. We talked about teams and where we thought they would ultimately wind up. So now we're about a third of the way into this run. So what do we talk about today?
Well, on the team standpoint, Boonesboro's depth is starting to prevail as we thought it might. Boy, you look at both the boys list and the girls list when you're looking at the top Washington County performances, and they've got a number of individuals standing out. Let's touch on the boys first. Jordan Churchy, who was an indoor shot put champion last year, his PR until last month was 43 feet something, and then he popped a 46-foot throw at the Frostbite Invitational at the PG Sportsplex. A huge PR. It remains to be seen if he can duplicate that, but boy, that's an impressive performance and sets him up really well. They've got a number of other athletes, Adam Berleman in the 55 hurdles, and then they've got a pair of middle and long distance runners in Donovan McClellan and Ben Hardings who have performed well so far.
Yeah, those are two guys who don't seem to be able to get away from each other.
Yeah,
I mean, they're always
razor
pretty close right
Yep,
there.
Absolutely, and DeJuan Williams of South is actually battling them pretty close right now in the 800 as well. I think that those events are going to be some of the closest, at least until Will Merritt gets going again. We'll see what he does.
Yeah.
But certainly from a county standpoint, boy, those three have been neck and neck. And then you go to the girls. You know, Cameron Harper's doing her thing like we knew she would in the 500, certainly, and also the 300 where she's got some competition with another girl we'll talk about here in a little bit. And Molly Jones and McKenna Luzier doing outstanding work in the middle and long distances. Luzier, especially from the 800 all the way up through the 3200, has stood out. And Bethany Lohman, you know, the state pole vault champion, she's leading the way by a foot in the county as well. So you see in the depth of the Warriors, again, starting to already make their mark before the calendar even turned.
What I want to talk about is the Smithsburg coaches right now. First of all, TJ Hood seems to have grown like a head out of his own body, or at least that's what I thought when I started shooting it. It's actually his baby.
Yeah, and congratulations to him. That's amazing. And I know what that's having experienced that 2 years ago, a birth of my first son. It's a pretty cool thing.
Just the strangest thing, though, to see him at the meet, and that's all I saw was like the hood or the head of the young hood
yes.
from the side. And then Coach Ray Shriver, he is in mid-season form with his shirts right now. He's got it going on already.
Is he channeling the late Craig Sager already?
I'm telling you what. I mean, he will give anybody a run for their money when it comes to fashion. But as far as some of the kids on those teams.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about Lauren Daniels because she went to the Frostbite Invitational and busted out a 41.69 300-meter dash, which at this point in the year is just phenomenal. Easily the best in the county. I mean, Cameron Harper's no slouch in that event, and Lauren Daniels' time just blows her out of the water at this point. Boy, she's looking good. Also leading the way in the 55 as well. And then a breakthrough athlete on the girls' side, as far as I'm concerned, is Emily Alexander of South Hagerstown, who's leading the county in the 1600 and the 3200 at this point, and has also been very solid in the 800, running right with Jones and Luzier, who we mentioned earlier. So those are some names that have popped out on the girls' side for me.
Yeah, she nearly won the 3200 in her first effort.
Yeah.
At the 3200 at the Dwight Scott Invitational. Just got edged out at the very end, but a couple of school records a couple of times out for hers, so that's very impressive over on the South Hagerstown side. For North Hagerstown, Jordan Morris, 55 hurdles, blew everybody away at the Terry Baker Invitational. So again, some of the groundwork being laid there, but this is a sport where you just want to kind of conserve. Yeah, you want to get out there. You want to put in the time, you want to do the work, but when it comes to putting all of your effort out there, it's not quite the time yet.
You don't want to peak yet, and that's why when I see Churchy throwing a 46-foot shot, the question is, can he duplicate that down the road? It was such a huge PR. Is he going to be able to repeat that?
Sure.
And we'll find out. But when you're putting out good performances this early, getting that good feeling, and for some of these kids, it started with cross country as well. I know Fremley Alexander probably started with cross country, so
little
you're
carryover effect.
Yeah, so you're just building up, and now you've got the county meet a couple weeks away, and these things just start ramping up.
Yeah, the next 3 Fridays, there are meets coming up. You got the Smithsburg, the Boonesboro. Those are both invitationals, and then the county meet the following Friday. So, Dan, we'll continue to follow it. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'll be back in just a moment. Up next, boys basketball. Kevin Dunleavy joins me in just a moment.
Tony's Pizza in Williamsport has had the same simple philosophy since 1985. Start with simple products. Sauce from the best Italian tomatoes. The best cheese and dough made fresh every day. Then mix those with a great atmosphere, and you'll have the best dining experience you can find. Tony's is known for their pasta dishes, subs, pizzas, and specialty items like their Nutella Dots and the famous Crazy Tony. Simply put, they want to give the best food they can give to their customers. So stop in today to Tony's Pizza in Williamsport.
Life's expensive. You've got your home, your car, maybe a family, and now you're thinking about earning your degree. At Kaplan University, we get it. When it comes to the cost of your education, every bit helps. That's why we created Tuition Cap. It's a program that sets the maximum amount you'll pay for college. Once you meet the cap, the rest of your degree is free. That's right, free. That adds up to a 33% savings off the full tuition. It's all part of our promise to make college more affordable. Learn how you can save with Kaplan University's Tuition Cap program at 1-866-KAPLAN-4.
Welcome back to the show. We'll continue with our playing catch-up here since the holidays, and all we have left is boys basketball. Maybe we've saved the best for last. Kevin Dunleavy joins me. Kevin, Happy New Year. Welcome to the show.
You too, Wes. Thanks.
We saw some basketball over the holidays together at times, and I think on the public school landscape right now, boy, we're set up for a good matchup this week. It will have happened by the time the show airs, but still you've got Williamsport, a team that in some respects is still a little difficult to figure out. They won their Daub Classic Championship over a very good Thurgood Marshall team, and they'll face North Hagerstown on Tuesday. Williamsport comes in 5-3, North 6-2. North lost to Middletown in their mixer and then absolutely obliterated Mountain Ridge. But this is kind of a microcosm of the way basketball is right now on the boys' landscape. I mean, who's a good team right now? Who can we trust?
Yeah, we have no idea, and both those teams have been inconsistent even in their season. So it's difficult to tell. Both teams are blending, especially North. They're blending all kinds of different parts from all over the place. Up from JV transfers, a couple of holdovers, and then Williamsport is breaking in 4 new players that are in the rotation, and talented kids, but it takes a while.
What do you make overall of where teams are right now? What does it tell us about teams as we start January?
It tells us that we're in a transition season, really, and it's you can really see that about the only team that really looks on solid ground right now is Goretti. They've played fantastic, and they're very guard-oriented, which is always a good thing to have at the high school level. So it's a lot of question marks still. I think we'll know a lot more in a couple of weeks when these teams start playing each other more. County teams play each other more, and we can get a little bit better idea of where they stand with each other.
Yeah, there will be a lot of that in the month of January. And you mentioned Goretti, so let's go ahead and go there. Coach Matt Miller, there could not be a bigger cheerleader for his team than Coach Miller, and by all rights, 12-3 right now.
Yeah, they're playing great, and Jake Kuhn has become a real, sort of force all over the floor. He's a perimeter guy, but he's 6'6", and he does a lot. And then Elijah Clarence is so explosive for him. And then their other guys really do well too. Blakeney has a lot of explosiveness, and he's a dunker and transition guy who's really lethal. And Josh Mack doesn't score many points, but he finds the open guy. They're in a really good chemistry situation now. They're fun to watch.
Broad Fording Christian, 8-3 right now. Yep. Yes, they lost to Thurgood Marshall. They hope to get to that championship game of the Daub Classic, maybe hand Williamsport a second loss this season. But still, I think with the team that Broad Fording has, if they can keep themselves from shooting too many threes and shoot themselves out of games, I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, they've got great elements. This kid in the Daub Classic in the consolation game comes off the bench, Chris Wagner, who hadn't played much at all this year, comes in and gets 16 points in the second half and like 8 rebounds, and showed that gives you an idea of the talent that they have. He'd be a starter at any other school in their conference, certainly.
Yeah, I think they're very deep, and maybe they don't know exactly what they have yet. I mean, it's still a feeling out process even for them. And then St. James, a team that hasn't even played a home game yet and won't until January the 10th. 5-2 right now, but certainly they have a lot of parts and pieces and some very impressive players.
Yeah, they kind of got off to this start last year, even though they had a fantastic year. They really got on a roll in January, but this year they've got a few more different parts that they're blending together. So it's a little bit more of a tougher blend, but expect to see them really tough and compete for the MAC championship when, by the end of this month.
We know Coach Preet brings that competitiveness. I mean,
Yeah.
He's not a guy who's going to settle for anything other than the best. So that team will certainly find its stride at some point. Let's go back to the public schools. I was talking about not being able to figure out who is who right now in terms of identity. And I think Boonesboro may be the best example of that. They win their holiday tournament for the first time in the short history of that tournament. And they have some horrible losses, though, on their resume, and yet they've beaten Williamsport. They beat Jefferson, and then they win their tournament by defeating James Wood. So who is the real Boonesboro right now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think they're super talented, but I think they've got a core of 8 guys who were juniors last year that are now seniors. And a lot of those guys weren't stars, but they know what it takes. And I think what we're going to see is they may get out-talented some nights, but they're going to win a lot of games based on being smart. And then they've got, of course, Tyshawn Hanna, a great transfer who's, really filled that bill to be the guy that's a go-to scorer, which they wouldn't have if they didn't have him. So.
And what we found out against Williamsport is that he is a guy who is not afraid to get to the free throw line, and when he gets there, you can depend on him making his shots.
Yeah, you got to love his game. He's his coach, Andrew Dinnerman, called him a gamer the other day, and that's the best description of him. I mean, he just the sum of the parts is. I mean, I don't know how to say this, but he really has a lot of game.
Right.
You wouldn't describe him as a guy with great talent, but you can tell he's played a lot of basketball.
Yeah, and I think Logan Saunders is an emerging player there with Boonesboro too, who's really helping that team gel. Just 3-4 right now, but again, a lot of momentum off of winning that tournament. They'll face Clear Spring, a game we'll have on Antietam Cable coming up on Thursday night. And Clear Spring just 3-5 right now. And part of the problem for the Blazers is finding some scoring. They're averaging less than 47 points per game, and they have 2 guys who are basically combining to score 2/3 of those points every game. So again, with Jarrett Lozic still not back in that lineup, the Blazers had some high hopes as the season began, coming off of where they finished last year. Really wanted to show with the losses of the players from last season that this core group could do just as much, if not more, and it's been kind of rough going so far.
Yeah, and it's been rough going, but Connor Michael has really brought it. I mean, his development over a year is really dramatic, and he can get his shot against just about anybody. He's a pretty good dribbler and can move and has a big array of moves inside and really good range. From 15 feet and in. If they just get Jarrett Lozic back, get some quickness, which they really lack on the perimeter, that'll be a big deal for them.
And one more team I wanted to mention because we were talking about them before we went on the air. South Hagerstown at just 1-7, but you see better things coming for them.
Yeah, it's incredible the teams they've lost to. All the teams they've lost to have at least 500 records. 2 of them are undefeated, and 2 of them have just 1 loss. So just a murderer's row schedule that they've faced, and they had this last year, and then they came back to the county and won a lot of county games. So there's a design. Kevin wants to schedule the toughest teams he can face early, and it makes his team better.
Many stories to be told before this season is over, that's for sure. We're just getting started on it. Kevin, thanks for being here.
Thank you, Wes.
And thanks so much for watching. We've got another big show coming up for you next week, and we can't wait to see you back then. Until then, I'll say so long. I'll see you on the inside.
Hey, your sisters and your brothers, your haters and your lovers, you gotta get up in the streets